You know what? I believe every bodybuilder has body dysmorphia.
Yeah.
100% everyone. Because if you get to a point where you have a peak and you look in the best shape of your life, and peak competition shape isn't real. It's like, you can't, it's very hard to sustain for a long time.
Yeah.
So I always look back at my photos back in 2015, you know what I mean, to compare. And you know that comparison isn't obviously the best thing for mental health at the same time. So I think all the bodybuilders out there are going through body dysmorphia of some degree.
Yeah.
It just depends on their self-awareness and if you're doing something about it to kind of, obviously alleviate that at the same time.
Yeah, because even then, like maintaining, it's the one, like number one thing I hear is maintaining that competition style level body just isn't particularly healthy.
It's not, because you go through calorie deficits. So you're putting your body and then you're doing so much exercise or cardio that, you're just burning through so much calories that you're starving yourself. You know what I mean? You're losing so much body fat. You look great, but you don't feel great. The energy levels, especially in those last few weeks of competition, are really hard. I remember the competition I did in 2017, which was the Melbourne Pro Show. I was 4 weeks out from competition, but I was behind schedule and I was working my 9 to 5. And I was doing 3 hours of training every day, and I was probably on like 1,600 calories. So, you know what I mean? And you're probably burning more than that. So you're pretty much like a zombie. You know what I mean? I was just caffeine, energy drinks, but just kind of going through it, but it wasn't ideal.
And like, is that how most keep their energy up at that point? Because as you said, calorie deficient.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you have energy? How do you keep going? How do you power through?
I think that's when the mental side comes in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think if you're really competitive, for me, when I compete, I always compete to win or place.
Yeah.
So I think my motivation is always there to go, okay, I got to keep on going. And I think digging into the why of what you're doing it. So my reason was to win or place top 3.
Yeah.
So that was enough to keep me going, but it's different for everyone.
And is there a high dropout rate when you get to like, you've got your pro, like your time from start to end of competition?
Yeah.
It's like, is there a big dropout rate at the beginning and then not much in the middle and then towards the end? Is there a dropout rate? Because people just mentally go,
I would say it depends on the client. It depends on what their goal is. So like if I had a client that was competing, I would always ask them what their actual goal is. Like, is it just to do a competition and place, or is it to just do a competition because it's on your bucket list? It's a goal for you, you know what I mean? So it all depends. And then, when I push a client, you will see them break. And if they get back up again, then I know that they're good. But if they keep on struggling a little bit, then I'll ease off a little bit though. So, but majority of the time, it's up to the client. I depend on that. But for me, I don't know. My drive factor was always there. So I just kept on going no matter what though.
Yeah. So you had good like internal motivation.
Yes. Yeah. I had good internal talk, and I always had a motivation, like you look at like athletes like Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, all these top athletes, they found motivation in all the little things, like really, really little things.
Yeah. In those 1%ers.
Yeah, I think in my first comp, my motivation was I competed in 2015 in the ICM bodybuilding show, and then I looked at last year's winner, and I was like, it's bad to compare, but the first thing I did was like, I'm going to beat this guy. So that was my motivation. Right, I created that idea. I created a goal in my head. Didn't tell anyone, but when I did it, and then if ever I felt the moment I needed to, maybe I wanted to cheat on my diet, I thought about this guy. I'm like, he's not going to cheat on his diet. You know what I mean? So
Gotcha.
Those little motivations will really drive you, but each and every one's different in terms of their internal drive.
Yeah. And I think as part for you being a coach or mentor to these people, it's finding that internal drive very, very early, right?
Yeah. I think identifying that, but also bringing it out. And I think some of the things I've learned through my coaching, because I've been a coach for almost 8 years now.
Yeah.
And when I began, it was very different. And now I coach in a more holistic, more lifestyle way, but a little bit more focused on the mindset, because the mindset was really what unlocks you to get you to your physical best in terms of your potential.
Yeah, because even like, as you said, when you're calorie deficient, you're tired, you've got no energy left, you're so close to the finish line. As you said, the only thing that gets you through is the mental power.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like I remember competing in the first few shows where like they're basically kind of amateurs getting up to it. So I competed in the first show, was like an open class. I won the overall title. First show, that was off the bat. I was really, really blessed and really grateful. And then within 6 months, I got invited to do a pro show.
Cool.
And I placed second. That's when I got my pro card. So I got my pro card all in 1 year. And then when you look at the competitors and see their drive, it's all different, because people are just competing for the fun of it. You go backstage, you connect with people. They're just, there's people that are overweight and they've lost like 12 kilos just to compete, and that's their goal. But that's their win. That's their trophy, if you know what I mean. Whereas for me, I'm like, I'm doing it to fucking win you. You know what I mean? Sorry, it's only me to swear, but you know what I mean? Like I'm doing it to win. So it's identifying that is one of those things. And I think talking about goal setting and understanding that and nurturing it and mentoring and coaching is really important. It's pretty much what I do on a daily basis with my clients now. Yeah,
I find that really interesting is because a lot of people out there, people listening to our show, we get a lot of people that have gone through mental health battles, but then people that have come out the other side and have like absolute powerful mindsets.
Yeah.
And they have focus and they have drive. What would you say, without giving away all your secrets, would be...
I don't mind giving my secrets.
Well, go for your
my
life
11
then.
herbs and spices.
How would you sort of say to someone who's trying to find their drive? What kind of are the things that you look for, the questions that you ask them? Little, like, not red flags, but green flags. What's things that you look for?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things. It's like life. Like, if the person's willing, like they ask for help or they ask, they reach out to me, that's already a sign that they're wanting to connect and be vulnerable to share that, hey, I need some help. So that's the first step there.
Yeah.
And then I think it's really identifying what their goal is and just being open and honest. And what a good coach really is actually asking the client what they want rather than me telling them what to do, if you know what I mean. And kind of digging that out through open questioning and just the coaching that I do. And a part of like something I'm doing in the future really right now, I'm actually studying to be a counselor.
Right.
Yeah. So a part of that is, identifying that the questions, the probing, those skill sets in that. And one skill that I think has really been really, really valuable is reframing. So, when a client says something maybe negative or they see it in a certain perspective, I talk about just reframing that and seeing it from a different perspective though. So I think that a part of that, but I think it's just being a really good coach and just asking the right questions to be open and honest.
Yeah. Can we go through like an example of a reframe? If I say something now, like if I say, oh, I'm not fit enough to go for a run.
Yeah. Well, I think if you talk about wanting to run maybe, but like what it is, like I would ask a few more questions first though. Okay?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'd say like, what is it that, makes you think that you're not fit to run? Yeah. And then what I talk about, like if you're willing to run there, that's actually a positive thing because you're actually thinking about it. So that switch in perspective for you going, I want to actually do a run, but I'm a bit scared. You know what I mean? The actual root cause of it is actually you have probably a bit of fear because it's the fear of the unknown a little bit though. And we kind of break that down a little bit more.
Oh, I like that. It's like this is the problem, you come at it from like this way, like on top and kind of.
100%, yeah. A lot of things really right now that I do, especially with my clients, is I have a 3-step approach with things and it's really simple. I kind of recap with them on a daily basis or weekly and I ask them what their wins are, some of their challenges and some of the things they would do differently. It's just a 3-step process and I do that with my wife. Like we do a weekly recap every Sunday night. We're going to do one tonight, but it's allowed us to like share some of the things we were doing really well in life and being grateful for them, but also maybe identifying some of the challenges that we're going through and then readjusting and making a plan and moving forward. And I think if you apply that, it's a really simple process. If you do it, or it allows you to have a plan to work on the things that you need to work on. And I do that with my clients as well. Yeah.
Cool.
One thing I wanted to ask. So how long are you prepping for the competition?
Yeah. Ideally, you would probably need a minimum of about 4 months.
So for 4 months, you're like visualizing this day, right?
Yes.
You're like every single day you're thinking about the day.
Yes.
When you won,
yeah,
did it feel how you thought it would? Did it feel better, worse?
Way better.
Way better?
Yeah. It was like euphoric. It was one of those feelings that you couldn't, you can't really achieve on a high of alcohol or drugs or anything like that. It's a euphoric feeling because you worked so hard to achieve this, you know what I mean? And it's something I'm chasing now with doing some of the things I'm doing this year as well, doing different things like doing a marathon and doing these other challenges that I have. So I'm kind of chasing that just because I haven't had the ability to, which we might talk a little bit more about. So yeah.
Let's go back to that.
Well, yeah, that's another, like, I did want to jump back to the bodybuilding.
Yeah,
so how many have you competed in now?
I've competed in 3 shows.
Okay.
Yeah.
And one of them?
I won, one, actually 2.
Yeah.
And then placed second and then placed 6th in the last one.
Yeah, because something that me and Liam, we've always thought about, you watch a musician or you watch a sports person after they do this show and everyone's cheering and screaming at them and like, yo, I love you. And then like, then you kind of just take your trophy and you go home.
Yeah.
Like, how's the come down off that?
It's interesting. I think and this is where the body dysmorphia kind of comes in a little bit too. So after a show, you're depleted. So the first thing you want to do is just eat all the foods that you never got to eat, right? And then you gain like, I remember the Melbourne show. So we stayed in Melbourne for a week after, just enjoy with my wife, just go see the sights, enjoy food. But that week I gained, I think 4 to 5 kilos.
Yeah.
A lot of it's water weight, but you know what I mean? And then your body changes and then you go, oh shit, I look like crap again. You know what I mean? So I think you've just got to have a plan and like be proactive to, okay, what's next? And, have a rebound plan in terms of what you need to do rather than going off course a little bit. Because if you go off course a little bit, that's when the mental battles come in a little bit and you have that body dysmorphia. So,
are you ever feeling satisfied with your body? Like when you're about to step up on stage, because you got the mirrors in there and you're getting pumps on and everything. Like you're doing that, aren't you? Like you've got weights in there.
You know what's funny? I'll be honest. When I was competing at the peak shape before I stepped, like I thought I was not lean enough.
That's what I was about to ask.
I
When you're
thought
about
I
to
was
go
too
up,
small, and then you win, and then it validates everything. But then you're like years after, then you look back, you're like, oh man, I can be better than that. And then now I look back and I'm like, wow, I look really good. You know what I mean?
So when you're about to take the stage and you're looking in the mirror going, oh, I'm not looking as good as I want. I'm looking small. What are you going on stage carrying that thought, or are you in the present moment?
Nah. It's only when you're on your own. But I think when I was backstage, because I'm a big competitor, I used to watch this. He's basically a 7-time Mr. Olympia. It's Phil Heath. I don't know if you guys have heard of him, but he's located in America.
7 times.
Yeah, 7 times. Yeah. And
wow.
I used to watch his like YouTube videos all the time, and he used to do this thing. So when you would basically get ready backstage, like pump up and stuff like that, he kept his shirt on, like he kept his clothes on, so you couldn't see his physique.
Yeah.
Bit of a psych out.
Yeah. So, but he took it off last minute, and then he was like jacked and like he looked awesome. And then all the competitors would be like, oh crap, you know what I mean? And I did the same thing. And I just remember this guy looking at me next to me. He's like, are you competing in this class? I'm like, yeah. And then you just seemed like doing more push-ups.
Yeah, you got in the head.
Yeah. So it's psychology. It's like, that mental battle when you're in backstage. So, but it's a bit different because when you're with others, once I saw my body compared to others, I knew I was good. But when you're on your own, it's a different story, right?
Yeah.
And how do you combat that? Like the 4 months of prep, what's the brain process like? Because I can imagine you're feeling lethargic.
Yep.
You're not eating enough, so the mental health's probably taking a bit of a toll. You're probably not sleeping well.
Yep.
Is 1 week harder than the other, 1 month harder than the other?
It definitely is. You have your ups and downs, just like life. So you're going to feel good 1 week, you're going to feel like crap next week. And I think having a support network is really important. I didn't have a coach, but my brother competed. My eldest brother competed with me at the same time. So we kind of bounced off each other.
Did the journey together almost.
We did. We did like that show together. And we were the first like 2 brothers that won like our classes, like ever in like a competition, which was kind of rare. Maybe it's happened since then, but that was at the time, it was the first time that's ever happened though. So I think having a support network and a coach, a lot of people now that compete, they have coaches because there's so many coaches out there now. Yeah. And I do highly recommend it. But back then I didn't have a coach. I just watched a lot of YouTube.
You didn't even have a coach this whole time?
No, I didn't have a coach. So years before that, I studied to be PT about 4 years before that. And then each year I would just keep on improving on my physique every year through diet, nutrition, training, and keep on improving until that year. The reason why we did it... Sorry, me and my brother competed because we launched the business, but we wanted to have a reputation, compete and see where it took us. And then we won, then it kind of skyrocketed from that point on.
Have that bit of like credibility. Almost.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think like I have a lot of people that reach out to me and they're like, oh, how do I become a coach and stuff? And I just said to them, I'm like, first of all, you have to have qualifications, like life. You have to have a resume, have qualifications, some skills, and then build a brand. You know, build your brand through competing or doing things that are, you know, people would admire and look up to. But sometimes that's hard for people because they just never and been able to step outside their comfort zone in a way though. So, yeah.
So another, like when you looked at food, when you were going through the competition, you know, when you see like footage of like the Terminator or like the Predator and it scans things, it's like, could you look at food and see the calories next to it and like the protein next to it?
Yeah, definitely. When you are into fitness, you see food as like fuel. Like you don't really see it for the taste. Like, I still love food and love the taste of it, but you know what it's there for. It's to provide fuel for you to achieve a goal.
Yeah.
And that's when I switched into competing mode, it was like that. Food was my source, my fuel source for me to achieve the goal rather than for taste. So I could eat the same thing over and over again every day. My wife hates it because I eat the same thing over and over. She's like, I need to change. And I'm like, okay, we can change to something else. But I can just eat the same thing over and over again because I know what it takes in order for me to achieve that goal.
Does that become toxic eventually? Like, you know, because you're not enjoying food, you're just literally having it as fuel.
I think it's I think there's two ways about it. You know what I mean? It's a balance of things. You know what I mean? I think if you're working towards a goal, it's a positive thing. But if you're doing it just because you want to look good and you like not confident with anything else, you just want to look good, and your mental side of it, you're sad, depressed, and stuff like that. I think that's the other side of it.
So some people could take it too far and be very.
Oh man, like, I remember the last show I did, the pro show. Everyone looked phenomenal. Like everyone looked awesome. You step out the backstage, and the people that didn't place, they were just so upset.
Yeah.
For me, I was just like grateful. I was just like, oh man, I'm just so proud that I got to do a pro show. Like we had pro show people coming from Indonesia, Japan, overseas, just to compete in the same competition. So it was a global competition. So to step on stage with like some athletes that were like phenomenal, like they looked awesome. I was grateful, but others were just like depressed, sad. You know what I mean? But I'm like, let's go enjoy the moment. Go have a pizza. I don't know.
Can I ask how they score the competition? How does it work? I've never understood it.
It's pretty subjective. So you know, if a judge likes this physique, but it's about symmetry. So like the physique, like both sides of the physique have to be symmetrical, muscle size, and then conditioning comes into play. Conditioning is like how lean you are, how much less body fat, your striations and your muscles, everything pops, you know what I mean? So it's a combination of everything, but ultimately it is a bit subjective, if you know what I mean? Because if a judge likes this physique, then they're going to, lean towards that a little bit. So
you're down this side of the stage and he's looking at your bad side, but if you're up here, like...
That's it, man. That's it, yeah. And like it comes down to, like what bodybuilding really comes down to is like if everyone works at the same rate, everyone's like lean, then it'll come down to genetics. You know what I mean? Yeah. Each and every one of us is different in terms of our body shapes and whatever it is, but genetics will also come into play as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to ask as quickly, like someone asked me the other day because I said that like we're having you on. And like he asked a question because he wanted to know. Yeah. Like as far as on like the gear and like the steroids and stuff comes into it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know because I've never done bodybuilding.
That's all right.
Is it like banned in most? Is it allowed in some?
Yep.
Can you be on a cycle 2 months prior?
Yep.
Like, how does that come into play?
In my federation, it was a natural federation.
Yep.
So it's a no-go zone, and they should be drug testing. I know that ICN now is drug testing a lot more than they did back then.
Yeah.
But there are federations that I think don't test really, or don't test that often, which is like IFBB, and that's the ones that do like the Olympia overseas, like in America. That's a big one. Where that's you see the bodybuilders where they look like
man, they're not natural, eh?
They're shaped like
Does
a lounge.
Bum claim to be natural?
He's no way.
But does he claim it?
No, he doesn't claim
it. Okay, I was going to say, because that dude's not natural.
No, he's not natural.
Do you ever look at a dude on stage and go, he's on gear?
You can tell.
And you're like, what?
You can tell straight away.
You can tell by the traps and just the shoulders and just like...
Isn't it also if their stomach's a bit bloated with a
six-pack? Yeah, that's a bit of a different drug. I think it's like a human growth hormone.
Yeah,
okay.
So because that expands your organs.
Yeah, because you're growing, because you might take it, but your muscles get bigger, but you can't grow you don't know how your organs and stuff inside, if they grow as well. And that's why the stomach grow a little bit though. So
yeah, because I've always seen that, and then they have like almost like a belly, but
they look like they're pregnant. Almost like going through a bit of
but then the
pregnancy.
6-pack's like on top of the belly.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like a turtle.
looks like a
turtle shell.
Yeah, it's
Like a turtle
or
shell.
something.
Yeah.
Because like in ones that so your one's strictly natural.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
there ones where people try and like sneak them in and like do them a few months prior?
You'd be surprised, man. Even at our federation, there have been like people that have been caught with like steroids and stuff like that. That's the reason why like they are testing a lot more, just because you want it to be a balance and equal competition, if you know what I mean. But I'd say like the IFBBs and some of the other federations, people know so they can get away with it or do what they need to do. But it's probably those federations, they want the biggest guys, so they don't care.
Yeah.
You know.
Have you ever been tempted?
No, I've never. Because I think once I did my first show and I got into the show, even though I said, I was like not the best, but like once I won, it kind of validated everything that I did, if you know what I mean. And then I was like, actually, if I can look like this, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I had thoughts because I was tempted to go into bodybuilding and go into IFBB, but then that kind of faded away.
That's too hectic, hey?
Yeah.
I was watching Ronnie Coleman when he was a cop, and he was just knocking back like 8 mils in like an
Ronnie
8 hour
Coleman,
period.
man, he's one of the goats. I love Phil Heath, but I think like Ronnie Coleman's just his attitude and his demeanor. It was just so
Him like eating the chicken and rice in like the police car in his uniform. You're like, how did they custom make those uniforms?
Yeah, they definitely
for
would
you?
have. But they say that like because he was like 6'1", 6'2", and he weighed like 150 kilos. He was like one of the biggest like bodybuilders.
150 kilos.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like he was the freakiest. That's why he was like so intimidating. Like he was so intimidating compared to like all the other bodybuilders.
He's like just a bit taller than me.
Yeah,
like
but
a little bit.
He's
like 70 kilos heavier.
Yeah. He's like wide as the couch as you guys.
I didn't know that. Oh my god!
Yeah, man.
I thought maybe 110 kilos, maybe.
Nah.
150.
Yeah,
he's feeling it now, though. Hey, he can't even walk, can he?
He can't even walk, man.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you can see that it's good, but it's got its massive.
I think he said
downside.
I seen on a podcast or a video he wouldn't have it any other way though.
Nah.
He'd
doesn't
do it
live
all
with
over again
regrets.
the same
He
way.
doesn't live with regrets, so
He loves it.
Nah, and I sort of live like that. There's probably things. I think life is about making mistakes and learning from them. So
I was listening to a podcast. Sorry to cut you
Yeah,
off. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they actually did a study on people and past trauma and in hindsight.
Yeah.
And they said, "Can you give me an example?" Not an example. They said, "Can you think back right now to one of the worst things that's ever happened in your entire life?" And everyone had to think back.
Yeah.
And they said, "Now, think about that. If you had an eraser right now and you could erase it out of your life, would you? But everything that came off the back of it, the people you met, the things you learned, everything, it gets erased as well."
Yeah.
And they said that 0.9% of everyone would get it erased and the other 99.1%
No
wouldn't
way.
have.
Yeah.
Because everything back in hindsight has taught you lessons and
Exactly.
not living with regret.
Yeah.
Which is what I thought was extremely interesting. Because then I look back on some of the biggest things that's ever happened in my life.
yeah,
I wouldn't erase any of them, no matter how bad they were.
Exactly.
Because the people you met and the things you learn along the way are irreplaceable.
yeah. Like I think mistakes are a part of life and they're a part of growth, and you should have the courage, like you guys, jumping all into a podcast. You know what I mean? You don't know where it's going to take you, but it's something you have to do. You know what I mean? So I think that's what life is about: doing things that make you uncomfortable and make you grow. And you might make a mistake, but that's going to allow you to reassess and do things differently for next time.
Well, it was also making me realize that we've taken the leap as well. And then, but it was like every time you look back on something bad that's happened or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
you always learn from it. You go, I'm glad that happened. And I'm like, well, we're living in the moment now. So if something bad does happen, we're going to look back at this and go, I'm glad I did it anyway. So why be worried?
Yeah, that's it. And I think I truly believe in, I talked about reframing, but seeing the silver lining in things is really important. And the more you do that, it allows you to have that skill of reframing, and like you're able to reframe things a lot more. That allows you to see different perspectives in different ways, in positive ways, and it's really powerful. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Yeah.
It's funny just that little mindset shift of just looking at rather than, why did that happen to me? Still looking at it at what did I learn from that? Like, why did it happen to me? What lessons did I take away from it?
Yeah, I think it's important to, take control. And sometimes we go through our dark times and play the victim and feel sorry for ourselves, which is natural. But if we actually do like take control of things, it's really important. And I think, like use an analogy, if you're in a movie, you want to be the director or the main character and take the lead. You know what I mean? You don't want to be the supporting cast just waiting for things to happen, if you know what I mean. So,
well, but then also when it comes to all of these things, like a movie that starts off happy and there's no ups and downs and lefts and rights and any big dramatic things that happen, it's boring.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, so I'm just resetting this time.
Yeah, it's like how boring would that movie be if the main character woke up, had everything he ever wanted, and then went to life and life was great, and nothing bad ever happened to him, and then the movie just ended. You'd be like, oh.
Well, touching on the victim, because I wanted to ask a question that tied into that. Around 10 years ago, you were diagnosed with an autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
Did you want to touch on that?
It was almost 9 years ago. On March 2016, I was diagnosed with a serious autoimmune condition called neuromyelitis optica. You probably never heard of it in your life. Have you guys heard of multiple sclerosis?
Yeah. Oh, I have heard.
Yeah. So very closely related to that. So essentially, your immune system would attack the nerves in your eyes and your spinal cord, and that can cause blindness, lose ability to walk, lose like bodily function, and can lead to death as well. Really rare. Impacts only about 1% of Australians. So I'm in a Facebook group and we only have like 250 of us. There might be only a little bit more. I had symptoms. So I'll tell you a bit of a backstory, I guess a little bit. So 2015, I told you I've competed. So I competed in 2 shows. I got my pro card. And I got my pro card on like October 2015. So I was riding the wave really high. I was like, okay, what's next for next year? Like competitions. I wanted to get bigger. I had aspirations. I was sponsored at that time as well. And then on the last day of January, I woke up and I had like headaches, but I had this other symptom where I was seeing double vision. I was seeing basically 2 of the same thing. And then it didn't go away. The idiot of me, I went to work on that day. My boss sent me home. And then eventually I went into hospital. And then I started developing like other symptoms. So I started developing symptoms like nausea, hiccups. But I had this other symptom, which was really weird, where if I look up, my eyes would just like roll down. So it looked like I was having a stroke. And then when I saw the like eye specialist because I thought it was an eye issue.
Yeah.
They brought in all the like neurology team. This was at the PA hospital. And then they're like, okay, you need to get MRI straight away. You're going to get admitted because they thought I was having a stroke. Yeah. And then...
Wait, so what do you mean when you're looking up, they're just dropping down?
Yeah, your eyes would just like drop down.
Like lose control of them
because
nearly.
essentially what happens with the disease is it impacts your central nervous system. So some of your like functions with your eyes or like even like your spinal cord would be impacted so you couldn't control it. And I didn't know what was going on. And then...
Sorry, this might sound like a really dumb question, but like...
No dumb questions here.
But it's like you looked up, right?
Yeah.
And then your eyes dropped. So
Yeah,
it's
what
like,
are you seeing?
So it's like you obviously weren't still looking up.
Yeah.
Did you just then your head's like this and then you're looking at your feet?
Pretty much.
Like,
Pretty much, man. It was like a fucking roller. I was like going to that. And then my wife saw me.
your head's
She's
still
like,
up like this.
yeah. I'll look up and it just rolled down. Like I had no control over that sensation or anything like that. And then...
This is even weirder, but are your eye, what are they called?
Pupils.
Are the pupils like down and in?
Yeah, they would like look up and then just like, it was almost like roll and then drop down and then come back up. It was like, it was just, yeah, it was
So
really...
you'd be real nauseous from that.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know what was going on. Like
Your head spins.
Yeah, your head spins. And then I got admitted. I had like all these MRIs. I had to have lumbar puncture. Lumbar puncture is when they stick a needle into your spinal cord, get the fluid out.
Oh, that
Yeah.
would hurt.
It wasn't fun. They give you like, stuff to, you don't feel the pain, but it wasn't fun.
Yeah, so then they've taken you in to get like an
Yep.
MRI because
Yep.
they think maybe something in the back of the eyes detached
Yeah.
or they thought that.
They basically found lesions in like basically my spinal cord. So it was affecting my central nervous system. So that was causing all the visual issues. The first thing they do when you have anything like attacks, they'll put you on a lot of steroid medication because steroid medication will help with like inflammation or help like basically build like into recover it. And then within about 2-3 weeks, my double vision subsided. And then I went out of hospital and I thought it was okay. But then I started like losing vision in my right eye. So my right eye was getting blurry. I was at work looking at like an iPad and then it was just getting blurry and blurry. And as the days wore on, like I couldn't like see on my right eye. So I went back into hospital. And by that time, because I did all those tests, they gave me a diagnosis. Oh. Yeah.
And how'd you feel when they told you that?
Man.
When they gave you the diagnosis?
So when the doctor told me, he because I've never heard of the disease, he just told me, he's like, you've got neuromyelitis optica. And I'm like, what's that? He's like, it's called NMO. That's a nickname. And I'm like, yeah, but I still don't know what it is. He's like, I'll just Google it. He told me to Google it at the time.
Really?
Yeah. And you know when you Google things, it's like the worst case scenario. You know, like you know what I mean?
Dr. Google, yeah.
Did you Google it with him in the room?
Yeah, I was in the room with the doctor.
Why is he making you Google?
I know. And then I Googled it and I was like so scared. And I was like, I didn't know what was going to happen because there's so much uncertainty, right?
Yeah.
Then I called my wife. She was at work and then she dropped everything, came over. And then my family came. And then, it was just this feeling of uncertainty because I asked him, I was like, so am I going to be able to live a normal life? And he's like, I don't know. Yeah. And that's what's scary because if the doctor can't tell you, because you listen to doctors, right? I didn't know. He said every case is going to be different. So what we'll do is we'll start you on the treatment that will get you basically on the right path. So just to share, there's no cure for this disease. The only way is like to manage it. And the way they manage it is because if it's your immune system attacking like nerves in your eyes and spinal cord, I was basically given an immunosuppressive medication. So immunosuppressive basically will stop your immune system from working.
So then you're getting sick.
Yeah. And then I had to...
It's like a catch-22, isn't
dude,
it?
it's a double-edged sword, you know what I mean? And they don't share like that side of it. They just go, we'll just do this to fix that. But it's like a Band-Aid fix, but then it causes other issues. And I didn't really know about it. All I'm doing is trying to, get the right scenario to resolve this. But then also... they don't tell you about the mental side of it too. They don't tell you because you're so focused on getting the physical side right, but they don't tell you about like maybe you should seek a counselor or see someone to talk about this and deal with this because it was super heavy, man. And then I think I was in hospital for like another few weeks, and then they put me on the immunosuppressive, and the treatment was going to be like every 6 to 12 months I would take it because the medication was so strong, but I was after that repercussions of just getting sick constantly all the time. And that's what I've dealt with for the last 3 years, really, with like the side effects. And then I've switched treatments, switched medications and all these things though. So it's been a whole different journey in itself though. Wow. So, yeah.
So do you remember when, obviously the doctor didn't tell you, he told you to Google it, but like when you found out like the potential of maybe not being able to walk again and all of these side effects, do you remember what the very first thought was, the first thing that you started thinking?
Oh, well, I just thought, what's going to be the next few weeks for me? You know what I mean? What's going to happen? Am I going to lose my eyesight? Because at the time I had blurry vision in my right eye. Am I going to lose the vision completely in my left eye? So my first thought right now was like, am I going to get my vision back? You know what I mean? I asked my doctor, he's like, I'm not sure, but...
Oh my God.
So that was probably my thought process there. Then thinking long was like, okay, what is going to happen to me? I don't know. So I was just faced with a lot of uncertainty and I didn't know what was going to happen. So a lot of anxiety was kind of building upon that.
You would have been in one of those cases where you, like every question you asked gave you like 8 more questions.
Yeah, it's like opening Pandora's box multiple times, if you know what I mean. So
you ask the doctor, is my vision going to come back? Maybe. You're like,
so you would have been 27?
Yeah.
So did you have anything your entire life? Was there anything that made you like, did you have the blurred vision, looking black? Did you have the blurred vision, anything like that?
Nah,
just one day.
This was the first time I've ever had like visual issues or anything like that to that seriousness. Yeah. Like I used to get maybe like, you cold and flus and stuff like that, but nothing like to that. Nothing to that degree. Oh. Yeah, it was intense.
That's freaking me out. Like I can imagine that. Like the feeling of the doctor just saying, I don't know.
Yeah, it was really scary. But I think at that time, like I said, I leaned on my support network, called my wife, called my family, and we just spoke. And I remember actually like my wife and I speaking, we spoke in hospital for about 2 hours around maybe that night or the next day. And we were just talking about like mapping out a plan how to kind of get through this, you know what I mean? So, and that was early years. Like I'd been with my wife at that time for 2 years, you know what I mean? So, and now we've been together for like, almost 13 years, you know what I mean? So to think about, and it's really brought our relationship in a way, like we had to go through a lot of challenges together, but we've come out of it so much stronger, if you know what I mean? But it took a lot of work and a lot of things to kind of resilience to kind of get through it too. Yeah.
And so from like the initial, I guess, diagnosis, like how long did it take you to kind of start getting a structure back in life, routines, like?
I actually surprised myself. So earlier that year, my wife and I had planned to go to America, and we planned to go in, I think it was June, July, around there. And I got the diagnosis in March. So I was like, I'm not going to go because I don't know what's going to happen. But by probably about May, once they started treatment, so what happened is started treatment, they gave me more steroid medication, my eyesight, my right eye came back. The color isn't the same as the left though. So it's a little bit off. So I'd say I've lost about 40% of the color.
So it's almost colorblind in one eye.
Yeah, it's weird, but I'm just grateful that I can see. So you know what I mean?
Course.
And then, I didn't have any issues after that for about a month. And then I started talking to my doctors. I'm like, can I go back to the gym? They're like, look, we don't know. So you do whatever you think is going to help you. And this is going to help you. So I started exercising a little bit. And then May, I did have another symptom, another weird issue where if I would like walk fast or jog, I had this like tingling down my legs, like pins and needles. It would just come and go. But it was like intermittent. It didn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
I went back to hospital to MRI. They didn't really find anything, and then it kind of subsided. So I think by May, I started going back to the gym. Started feeling good. I went back to work. And then I actually decided, I was like, life's short because of what happened. I'm going to go to America.
Cool.
So I went to America and I had the time of my life, and I had the best time with my wife. And then I had no issues while I was over there. And I've been blessed though. I've had other health issues, but I haven't had any like basically of those attacks since 2016 essentially.
Do you think that comes down to because you seem like from your bodybuilding, very mentally strong, very like, fortitude of a mind.
Yeah.
Do you think that like the lack of symptoms has come from you just going, I don't care what I've got, I'm pushing through, or is it the medication, or you're not sure?
I'd say I'm very grateful for the journey that I went through with my bodybuilding fitness, because it created pillars for me in life to always be healthy, eat right. So I did that during my diagnosis and during the sickness and stuff like that. I never lost sight of that. So I always committed to doing that, and I'm grateful for that. But I think I was lucky because, like I said, I'm in NMO groups on Facebook, and I see others that are way less fortunate than me, like people that have lost their eyesight, people that can't walk. I know a girl she's younger. She's probably like 24, 25 now, but she's lost eyesight in one eye, and she's a quadriplegic. Oh, you know what I mean? No. So I'm grateful because in the state I am now, I'm still able to do things. Maybe intimately I get sick and stuff like that, but I'm still able to do things. So, but when I see others like that,
it'd just break your heart, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and it's all about perspective. That's really what it is. Yeah. So, and I think, like I said this before, what's really taught me is like I've been at the peak of health and being in the best shape of your life, and also being at the lowest. And reframing that, I see that as a gift, because the gift in that is understanding that, when you have your highs and lows, that is a part of life, you know what I mean? But trying to get through that's the journey. And that's what I'm trying to do now to help others with coaching in the future when I do become a counselor as well, though. I'm really passionate about helping others with chronic illnesses and kind of getting through these challenges. Because like I said, doctors will never tell you, they'll give you a diagnosis, but they'll never tell you to see a counselor, look into your mental health, because I think mental health is just as important as your physical health.
Yeah. Where did your mental health go with all of this?
Oh man, like I said, I didn't have any physical symptoms later that year, so I was okay, and then I kind of got through it. But there were times where, so I'll share a story. I guess the last 3 years, because of the immunosuppressive medication, as you take it more, your immune system gets weaker and weaker. You know what I mean? It's just, it has no ability to fight. So the last 3 years, I battled with chronic chest infections and respiratory infections.
Oh, they're the worst, yeah.
But I was getting them every 2 to 3 weeks. Oh. Yeah. And this is you get flus and stuff. They're debilitating, you know what I mean? They're not serious, but they're just they affect you. And that affected my mental health so bad, because it changed my identity because I was like falling into this like chronically ill person, and I was a fit person, you know what I mean? So I had to really like understand where my body was going, and I'm still going through it now. It's led to a lot of things. Like I was working my 9 to 5, and I worked my way up to become a manager, you know, and I was there for 11 years and I had to leave last year. And that was a big identity change, you know what I mean? But it's also given me the perspective and opportunity to evaluate what I'm passionate about, similar to you guys. And that's the reason why I'm going down the field of being a counselor, because when I was a manager, I love listening to people's stories, you know, hearing about what they're challenged with, what would motivate them, like using listening skills and trying to guide them. And I do that as a coach as well, you know, if you know what I mean. So, and my ultimate goal really right now, like I guess with my coaching is very health and fitness related. I do a bit of mindset now too, but when I can incorporate counseling, there's a mental health aspect as well. So being really holistic as well with my health coaching. That's my kind of ultimate goal in the future anyway. Yeah.
No, that's brilliant.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask, when you're sitting there, because you've obviously gotten better, when you're learning about this and you're doing research, do you think it made you worse? And did you stop giving it attention at some point?
That's a good question though. It's good and bad because you would research, and what I've understood is like everyone's different in terms of their body, how they would react to medications or do certain things, and you know, with social media or, you know, with the internet, you can find all these things. People saying, I'll do this will help with this. So it is like a trial and error type of thing. It's just like life, you know what I mean? So eventually what happened with my medications, I was taking this medication called rituximab, which is a really strong immunosuppressive medication. And at the time, my neurology team, they were like, this is the only treatment that's going to work. By reaching out to other doctors and people in the community, they're like, no, we've got this, we do this works. So I'm like, no, like there's got to be another way because I'm just getting more sick and sick. You know, this isn't right. You know, at the time, I'm like in my early 30s getting sick and I'm like training 6 days a week. I was fit as a fiddle, you know what I mean? So I'm like, something's not right. And then I had to really fight. It was only like last year that they changed the medication. So and they changed it to another immunosuppressive. It's been a bit better, but and then they tried like all these other treatments last year. The journey through like the last 2 years is like I've tried all these medications, and then I was on like 3 heavy medications last year, and eventually we stopped 2 of them, I think in November last year. And that was when I really shifted my mindset. Kind of question you asked was like, I just kind of let go of what the doctors were going to tell me, and I just focused on what I had in front of me, like all the good things in my life. And I just focused my energy on that. And that's the reason why I like that lately I've been into running, and that's something that I've never done before. I never thought I was a runner. And I got into it because there's something new, something that's challenged me, but it's actually given me mental clarity. And one of the reasons why actually was my doctor said, build your lung capacity just in case you get more lung infections. If you have strong lungs, it will combat, you know, whatever happens. So that's the reason why I got into running. And then I've been running since like last year, but kind of November, December, I've just kind of like leaps and bounds with my results and stuff like that though. Yeah.
Because that's one thing that I was thinking is, do you think that because of all the bodybuilding and, you know, your just body was so physically strong, when you started getting all these symptoms, do you think it kept you quite ahead of the curve of where you should have been because you were so physically strong? Yeah,
I think it does. I think like if you're as...
It's a blessing, right?
Yeah, like, if you're as fit as you possibly can and you've given yourself the best opportunity, you're gonna be able to combat some of the things that are happening within your body. And like I think diet is so important. Like one of the things I've cut out now is like I don't eat like junk food or fast food anymore. Like I don't eat Macca's, KFC, Hungry Jack's, Root. Like I don't touch it anymore just because I feel like it builds inflammation in the body. And since I've done that, it's actually really helped. And that's something I kind of applied. So I think diet is really important. But when you're going through dark times, we are emotional beings. We want to eat yummy, fatty
dopamine
foods, you know what I mean? So it is hard sometimes, but having kind of that discipline and self-control was really important. And that's something I had, I guess, with my fitness and bodybuilding journey.
Did you ever get to a point where you were in a defeated mindset? Where you'd lay there and you just went, whatever. Like, I'm done. I give up.
100%. Like there was times when I was getting the respiratory chest infections all the time. I'd wake up sore throat, heavy chest, headache.
Feeling like death.
Yeah, you know, when you wake up with flu, and I was just waking like that all the time. And then it got to a point where, you know, you stop believing in your body, you know what I mean? Like, and this is where, like, I talk about the identity change. If you don't have belief in your body, then you don't have much belief in yourself, if you know what I mean? So it's going to affect your mental health if you feel like crap. But that's when, like, I think having a really strong support network is really important, because if you don't believe in yourself, you have people that will believe in you and support you. But also I spoke about doctors not telling you to get, you know, therapy and stuff like that. I started about 3 years ago, and I've been consistently seeing a counselor every month, and I do that. Dr. Kelvin, if you're watching, hello, by the way.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to you, brother. No, but like, you know, I think it's really important. And I think being proactive about your mental health is just as important as, you know, we get our dental checks every year. We get our, you know, hearing checks every year. Like, mental health is just important. So I think it's something that, you know, you guys are doing really right now to improve the stigma of it. And I think it's something we should talk about more often.
Yeah, no, I agree. One thing that I've picked up from you is that it seems like community and like a support network is a massive thing for you. Is that something that when you were going through these challenges, did you find this support network? Did you always have them? Was it in the people that you already knew and they stepped up to the plate for this? Or do you kind of get where I'm asking?
Yeah. I'd say I'm very blessed that I had my wife. So I had a really strong person that was always there for me. And then I had family. So like, I come from a Vietnamese background. So in Asian and Vietnamese culture, family is a really important value. Like it's really important. It's like number one. So I had my family. And then I'd say with my actual family, like with my wife's family, they're really tight knit. So they really support each other, and I see it. And I learned a lot from them when I started dating my wife. Yeah. But with my family, we were a bit more separated because I lost my mum when I was 14. Yeah. So, you know, your mum is always the one that like brings everything together. So I guess, and I have two older brothers. So we're all boys, like my dad. So we're all boys. So we weren't as connected tightly. But I say the health challenges that I went through 9 years ago, it actually did bring us closer. So it really allowed me to have, you know, my wife, my family, and also my close friends to be there as a support network. And that's who I leaned on during that whole process. Yeah.
For people that may not have a support network, how would you recommend finding one, building one?
Yeah. I guess if you're dealing with the illness or whatever you're dealing with, you know, there's so many, you know, hotlines and stuff like that out there. It is hard though, I think, because, you know, we talk about, I think the hotlines and stuff like that will always help. There's always like Beyond Blue, there's always these like, Lifeline, there's always places you can reach out to, but if you're not comfortable, but I'd say, you know, you're always going to have a friend at least of some sort. Like that's the first step, like talk to them openly about it. Especially as males, we probably don't do that often, but sometimes when you have that first conversation, it's really important. And then you might hear other struggles that your friend is going through. So having that first conversation, no matter who is with, is probably the first step. And then seeing who you have support, I guess, your hotlines or community. I guess if you're dealing with the illness, looking into the illness that you're dealing with, like the disease or whatever, looking on Facebook, looking on Instagram, and be a part of that community and start talking to people. And then you start to understand those people will have some of the feelings that you're dealing with, and it will validate them at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, because that group that you're a part of on Facebook, you said only had, 200 members or something?
254. And
is that Australia?
Yeah, it's Australia. But the funny thing about the disease, it affects women more than males. So in the group, there's only like 10 males. Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know why though. So yeah. That's why when I do speak about things, they're like, oh, it's really nice to hear from a male's perspective though. So, yeah.
And that's what I want to do with the disease. Do you know, is it like... Because you said at the start, there's no traces of it in your family. Yeah. So it's not a genetic thing.
Yep.
Like, how was it brought on? Is it like, because it's obviously not like diet brought on or anything because you were your diet was so good. Do you know how it come about, brought on?
They're doing more research into that to try to find out. But to be honest, it's just a bit of luck of the draw that the cards are dealt with. And that's what the doctors said. It's not hereditary or anything like that. It's just sometimes it happens. They're looking into like diet and maybe having a little bit too much protein, but this is just all like hearsay, if you know what I mean. And obviously I had a lot of protein during my diet with competing and stuff like that, but I don't actually know. So I think it's more luck of the draw, to be open and honest. Yeah.
And has gratitude always been something that you've always prioritized and been very highly, or did it come about a lot more when you got the diagnosis?
Yeah, definitely through the diagnosis and the journey through the health journey.
Or like more now, like looking back, go how lucky I am.
Yeah, I look now and like when I connect with people in the community and see just like how like it's the disease has impacted them. And then see where I'm at the moment. I have the ability to do some of the, be healthy for the stage and do some things. And so gratitude is a really important part. And I think it's honestly saved me, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, and I think I have a morning ritual where I would always wake up and I would meditate and do breath work. That's the first thing I do. And then I would journal. So I just journal, like my wins, my challenges, my adjustments, and just some of the things I achieved. It's probably become a part of my schedule since probably maybe like a year ago now. But it's really allowed me to be really grateful. And when I do meditate and do breath work, I just talk to myself and just say, especially when I get sick as well, like I just talk to myself and say, you've been through this before, you'll get through it and you'll come out stronger. Those really words of, kind words to yourself are really important, and really practicing gratitude has really saved me.
If you're okay talking about this, you mentioned before that you lost your mum at 14.
Yeah.
How did that impact you at such a young age? Like,
oh man,
I heard you say it before, and it kind of rocked me a little bit. And I was like, because it sounds like you've gone through quite a bit of adversity.
Yeah, I've been through a lot of adversities, and that's why I feel like some of the things that have happened to me, I'm kind of prepared for in a way.
Yeah.
Not fully prepared, but they've given me experiences to kind of get through it. But
it's given you tough skin.
Yeah. But when I was 14, at the time, you lose your mum, it's big. But I think, especially come from Asian culture, even just any Western culture too, like you're taught to suppress it, not really talk about it, and just be strong and get through it, you know what I mean? But I'd say probably years wore on that the more I talked about it, that I understood that there was probably a lot of trauma and a lot of things I still needed to navigate and get through. And, talking to my brothers about it, talking to my wife about it, even talking to my counselor about it, if you know what I mean. So there's still things. And then I'm able to also reflect and go, oh, maybe that's the reason why I act the way I do, because of what's happened to like losing my mum at an early age, if you know what I mean. So, but it has given me, obviously, like I said, thicker skin to kind of get through it. But I think every experience that I've dealt with, all the setbacks are different, and I learn from them and I grow from them at the same time.
I think that's the most important part of anything. Just recognizing the lessons from it.
Yeah, life is a lesson, and like I said before, there's no failures in it. You will learn and grow from it as long as you take something out of it, and then you build a plan to what's next. That's progress. And what the health journey has really taught me, and one I talked about gratitude, another one is just being present. Like taking life day to day. And I think you spoke about like, how did you kind of get through it? And then once I saw the day to day that I was getting better and I got back into the gym, I started, getting back to where I was. That gave me that confidence to get through things. And I think being present is such an important thing, especially in this day and age with social media and overstimulation of a lot of things, you know what I mean? So I think being present is a really important skill to have.
Yeah. So let's just say that someone's listening to this and they say, what's gratitude? What's being present? Like, what would you kind of recommend to them to start doing to learn and discover it and practice it?
I'd say like, look, meditation breathwork's not for everyone, but having a think about like the actual good things you have in your life, like the simple things, like having a home, having food, having water, having health, you know what I mean? The simple things. If you have that, and then you kind of think about others that don't have it, that gives you perspective, if you know what I mean. So, and if you start writing that down, maybe journaling it or whatever you need to do, like I do it every day. Some of my clients not comfortable, or they just don't have the time to do it every day. They just do it weekly, but they write down all the things that they're doing well, or some of the things that they're grateful for. It could be within the week that they've done really well. I think you start with that, and then you build consistency with it, like just like training or going to the gym, and you be consistent with it. That brings up that skill of being grateful for what you have. And being present's a tough one, because I think
it can be so hard.
Like I said, the meditation breathwork really does help, because what it does, it allows you to focus on one thing. And I think focusing on one thing is a really powerful thing. And if you focus on breathing, it allows you to, in this day and age, we've got our laptops, we've got probably all these tabs open all at once. We've got our, we've got Instagram, we've got like everything open at once. But if you allow yourself to focus on one thing and be good at that, that could be through meditation, it could be even through exercise, you know what I mean? Like going to the gym, when you're present in the gym and doing your workout, I think that's a really important part. So it could be any other, that's the things I recommend: meditation, breath work, working out, exercise. Because if you focus on those one things at that time, they'll allow you to be present in the moment though.
And the good thing with meditation is you jump on YouTube and go, whatever kind of meditation you need, there's guided ones there.
Yeah. I use a guided one. Like there's times where I don't, but I use an app called Insight Timer. So Insight Timer, you can search through different people that will guide you through it, or you could just have music that plays in the background and you just focus on your breathing. But I think if you want to do it, you just have to put your mind to it and then start to do it and build consistency with it. And it also, like, the app will tell you, hey, it will reward you. Go, hey, you've done 300 days consecutively, or you've achieved this, and it'll unlock things. So it gives you a bit of gratification for what you're doing, if you know what I mean, like a reward system, if you know what I mean. So sometimes we might need that though, but
it gives you that dopamine. Yes, I'm on goal.
Exactly. We might need that dopamine hit with those kind of comfortable things that we've never done before. So yeah,
because serious deep meditation can be so hard. Like I've been really practicing it and really doing it. It's tough.
Yeah. When do you try to do it usually though?
Mornings.
Mornings, yeah. What's challenging about it?
Well, at the start, it was like not really understanding what meditation actually meant. It was like I was trying to sit in a black room and just breathe. But I was like, no, it's about the thoughts that come to your forefront, actually breaking them down and sitting with the thought rather than like just trying to sit there and be like, just in like a black space. Because I would wander off and just,
I think that's okay. Like, I think it's just having time to yourself, really. Like having that moment with yourself. And when you first start meditation, it's totally normal for all these thoughts to go awry, because it's the human mind. We get bored. So I think that's when self-talk comes into play, and then just going, hey, you're doing this because you need to be more, you want to be more present, or hey, if you do this for me. And that self-talk, if you talk to yourself, because your brain is pretty smart. If you tell it to do it, eventually it will figure it out and learn it.
Tell it enough times.
Exactly.
Do it,
And that's why that self-talk within ourselves is really important, because we give ourselves that positive affirmation and we can do it. But I think meditation is always going to be difficult at the start, but that's totally normal. But you just have to keep on going until you start to feel the results of it. And I think it took me I was skeptical at the start too. I'll be open and honest with you. I was really skeptical. And it took me probably about 6 months for me to kind of reap the rewards. Yeah. Because once I went through the health battles in the last 3 years with the chronic respiratory chest infections, and I wasn't able to work out as consistently, so I lost that like outlet, I had to pivot to like meditation. Like I had to pivot to something. I needed to, or else I'll go crazy, if you know what I mean.
Put your energy into something.
Yeah, I had to. And then once I started doing it and I started going, oh, hey, I can actually be in this moment and just be with myself and just breathe. And then I've really taken the breathing on board. Now that I'm running, I know how to control my breath. I breathe through my nose. And, it's really led to other things at the same time though. So, yeah.
Because one thing that we've found recently, everyone who we've started interviewing in the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks, everything that they talk about is their purpose.
Yes.
Finding purpose. And I feel like for you, you're on this trajectory of like bodybuilding, like, all these things that you had planned, as you said, manager at work, and your purpose was that. And then when the diagnosis, you just would have gone, where am I going?
Yeah.
So have you refound your new purpose now?
I'm still on the discovery at the moment. Like I'd say, like I'm on the positive path at the moment. Like I said, I started my studies to become a counsellor, which I should finish this year.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I used that time while I was unwell, just to like the days where I was sick, like I didn't feel good. It was an online course, you could self-pace. I'd just go on my laptop and just study and just like smashed it out. So I've only got 3 subjects left now.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 2-year course. I've done it. I'm basically almost finished within less than a year. I just got to do work placement later this year. And then even this year, like I said, focusing your energy on good things, like things you can control, is super important. And then this year, I've become a Paladin fitness race ambassador too. So I'm doing Paladin fitness race. We have our first one, Sunshine Coast, on March 30th. And then we've got a Gold Coast one, we've got Brisbane one. So that's a new challenge for myself.
What is it?
It's like like a fitness race. So you do different exercises, and then you do a run, like a 800-meter run. So you different.
Oh, is this where you like sprint and then you go to the next exercise and then you do it like 7 times or something?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Similar to high rocks, if you heard of high rocks. So yeah.
Someone was talking about that the other day.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It's
that just popped into my
like the
brain.
new
Hit sort of.
Yeah, but it's like the biggest, like it's kind of like the new kind of CrossFit. It's replaced that kind of, CrossFit was so popular, but now this is everyone can do it because some of the exercises, they're not like weightlifting type of stuff. They're basically lunges and stuff that everyday people can do.
Cool.
And then you add running into it too. And running is like probably one of the biggest, like basically kind of sports and exercise that's happening at the moment though. Like it's growing so big.
Oh, everyone's into running.
Oh,
There's
man.
run clubs everywhere now.
Dude, but I think I love it because, like I said, I never thought myself as a runner. Like I did bodybuilding, and early on I used to play rugby, touch footy, so I used to have explosive speed type of thing.
Yep.
I never had that endurance, but once I got into running, it challenged me in a different way. Yeah, just like running longer, and then when you want to stop, having that, that person in your head telling you not to stop. That's like the mental, and like that's what I think. All the things I've achieved through bodybuilding, my health journey. When I run, it gives me clarity.
I watched a video once and it was saying when you're running and your brain's telling you to stop and it's time to stop, you have like 60% more in you.
Definitely do.
At least.
Yes.
But your brain's just telling you to stop because it's uncomfortable. But you actually have way longer in you.
I do when I run, I visualize. I visualize like when I ran yesterday, I did a 10K. I was visualizing myself finishing the Gold Coast Marathon.
Yeah.
Like I'm doing the Gold Coast Marathon this year, but I was visualizing that in my head. Yeah.
What I wanted to ask too is when you lifted because you get the trophy. Did you envision that every single morning?
I envisioned, I didn't actually envision myself winning, but I envisioned myself on stage being in that middle. So when they put you in the middle, that means like you're most likely going to win because they're looking straight at you.
Yeah.
So in bodybuilding, they line you up, but if they put you in the middle, that's generally they're saying that you're the top dog.
It's a good sign.
Yeah. Because they want all eyes on you. They want this, and then they want everyone else just to compare next to you. Yeah.
I did not know that. So if you walk out and you're...
There we go.
So
insider trading.
So like you walk out and you're 10th on the wing. You're
You're
like,
like, you just walk off at that point,
Yeah, but because if they move you and they move you to the middle, you got a good chance.
you know you're doing well.
Yeah. And I remember that first show, within the first 30 seconds, you're like in the middle. And I'm like, okay, I got this.
Got it.
Yeah. And the confidence will come through. And that's when
Was there any nerves there being like, I'm front and center guy now, I can't.
Nah,
fuck
no
this up,
nerves.
or
No nerves. It was like, I think once you step on stage, there's so much adrenaline.
Yeah.
And then you're just like going through the poses, doing what you need to do, present yourself well. You got to smile. And like when you're smiling, I say I'll give you another insider trading, is when you smile when you're on stage, you got to smile like this, grit through your teeth, but breathe through your teeth. Like, you know what I mean? Like, look like.
For how long?
The first show there was like 10 minutes. But I remember the pro qualifier, we were on stage for about half an hour.
Oh.
Yeah.
Does it start hurting? Like flexing?
But that's why what's underrated is practicing your posing. Posing is so important and critical part, and like holding your poses. It's a different element to
Yeah, because like when you're up, flex and turn, you can't be going with your stomach going. You've got to.
You got to control it. You got to do so many things though, man. It's crazy.
There's so much more to it than what people think. I stand there and just be like,
It's something you got to really practice. And I remember like when I was competing, and I spoke to my brother, and I'm like, you need to practice your posing. And I remember him on stage, and he was just looking at this other guy, just copying him, and then just like shaking at the same time. You know what I mean? So, but like I was like. Studied it. I did everything to a degree, so I didn't struggle with it at all. So.
Can you see the audience, or were like the lights?
The lights are too bright.
Like,
the lights are so bright, and you can't see it.
I could see him telling me to do a pose, and I couldn't remember which one it was. I'm
so
just
funny.
doing the opposite to everyone else.
That's why my brother. That's my brother. My brother was just looking at this guy, copying him. You know what I mean? It's so funny.
I'd turn around, do my bag.
It was so funny.
Looking at everyone else. Look.
I'd get in my own head, I can imagine. They'd tell me the pose, I'd forget straight away.
So funny.
They're like, change, you're still there, like smiling, not even paying attention.
Oh man, it's funny though. But
Do you have any questions?
Not on top of my mind, no.
No. All right. So final question. Well, actually, firstly, is there anything that we should ask you? Is there any other stories, anything else you wanted to get out before final questions?
Yeah, I'd say that like now that I have this perspective with like living with a chronic illness and like having those perspective of like health, I think like and why I'm going into counseling, I think it's really important to like, really understand like those challenges that people that go through with health challenges in a way. Because I think it's naturally, if you went to a hospital and you saw someone with cancer or you saw someone sick, you naturally feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
Sympathy comes involved. But I think the thing that I really want to talk about is empathy. Empathy is a really important part. And like what you're doing is like just listening to that person and understanding their stories, because a lot of us had to change our lives, our like identities, like lose our jobs, lose income, and like switch roles, change our dreams, if you know what I mean. So I think it's a really powerful message and something that I'm really passionate about in the future when I go into counseling and really helping people with chronic illnesses. But like each and every one of us, if we're healthy, just have that empathy towards people. I think it's a really powerful tool for everyone.
Of course.
Oh, that's what gets us through this podcast. Is I just imagine all the people going through what I went through.
Yeah.
Not having the money to be able to, go to therapy, or go to the doctor, get on the medication, and
everyone has a story.
Well, not even what I just went through. Like what any mental health battle, it's so isolating, and it's just And that's why we like to have a laugh and just be a little like make people feel comfort while listening. Like I was on a mental health page today, and there was a lot of people saying they felt really lonely.
Yeah.
And I just really wanted people to turn this podcast on and feel like they're in the room with us and just having a laugh.
Yeah.
So I get it. You got to be empathetic.
Yeah, but you guys should be proud and taking the courage to take the leap. That's a big thing though. But I really believe in this year. I don't know why, but I believe that everything is happening for a reason.
Oh, absolutely.
My sister's it's a bit woo woo, but my sister's a psychic medium.
Yeah.
And she was saying the same thing.
I never used to be like that, but like every opportunity that has come this year, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing it. You know what I mean?
That's the same as us.
Yeah. And like, but I do it, but if it feels right, if you know what I mean. So.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that year, and it feels like a lot's working out for us. And we're putting in the work, but there's a lot happening for us.
It's meant to be.
And it feels like it's meant to be. And that's what we keep hearing is if you're following your purpose and you're aligned, it will unfold in front of you and it will be easier.
Yep.
And that Kirby did 10 years in real estate.
Yep.
It just was like banging his
Were you
head
both
against
in
it.
real estate or just?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was 4 years, he was 10.
Okay.
And once I thought real estate was my purpose. No, it wasn't. Once I realized it wasn't and I knew it wasn't, it became 100 times harder. It was so hard.
100 times worse.
When I thought I was changing lives and this was what I was going to do for the rest of my life, it was so easy.
Yeah.
But the second I realized it wasn't for me and it's not what I wanted to do, how much harder did it get? I had to put in double the work to get half the results.
Yeah.
Curb, 10 years in it.
People wonder why I was so depressed.
It makes sense, but you both done really well to get out of it though.
Oh, thank you.
And that's the thing. It's one of my greatest sayings is this too shall pass.
Yeah.
Like no matter what you're going through, whether it's good or bad.
Yep.
Like if you're going through a good time, be grateful for it because it will pass and it won't be there forever.
Yep.
If you're going through a really bad time of life, just ride it out. It'll pass.
That's it. Yeah. And I think it's important to write it out, but it's important to like process your emotions, you know what I mean? And go through that internal dialogue and internal battle. That internal battle is your own battle and whatever timeline you need to take in order to get there.
Well, that's what I wanted to say because you mentioned about your mum, you guys sort of suppressed it and you didn't really deal with it, but you felt it later on.
Yeah.
I've gone through something similar lately where I suppressed it and it's still hit me as bad as it would have
100%.
a little while ago.
Yeah.
And it's something that I want people to, to know as well is instead of suppressing it, sitting with it and feeling it, and it feels horrible and it sucks, but deal with it so that you can move on quicker.
Yeah.
Because it will come back.
100%.
And it will
catch up to you.
Oh, it will catch up and it'll get you out of nowhere.
For sure.
And when life starts getting good, it'll come. It'll
It'll
come.
come, man. It'll come though. So yeah, it's really important. And yeah, like I said, just reach out to someone. It could be a friend as a starting point. But you got these podcasts. Like I'm sure like people can reach out to you. They can reach out to me if they need some advice and stuff like that. So more than happy to help.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet. Well, I always like to end it on the note of if you're giving direct advice to one particular person.
Yep.
So the person, that was a good time, wasn't it? So like someone who's going through a similar battle that you are, whether it be the chronic disease or the mental fatigue of the bodybuilding.
Yep.
What advice got you through those moments that they may need to hear right now?
Yeah, it's tough, but I think taking control of your life because you're the only person that can really take control of it is really important. And then just doing things because in order to do that, you need to change. And a big like motto that I live by is like, if you want to achieve something you never have done before, you're going to have to do something you've never done before. So I think that's really important. So yeah.
Yep. it's a saying that I have that I really like, and it's like the hardest part about changing your life is changing your thought pattern.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think, like I said, reframing, that's really important though. But everyone's going to go through that journey. But yeah, taking control is really important. But everyone has to go through their process in order to get there, no matter the timeline, and we have to respect that. But yeah, I'm hopeful that, this podcast and hopefully my endeavors in counseling in the future can help others in the future as well. So I'm super excited by that.
yeah,
love it.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Love it.
Awesome.
No worries. Well, everyone, thank you for listening.
Love you.
Awesome. Love you. Thank you. That was awesome. How's that?
That was really good.